Hello viewers, my name is Nhagunjira Godfrey and I'm the editor of Stories of Hope. Today we are here again with a very big topic, the biopsychology of addiction. We are talking about addictions today. Addiction is a very, very wide topic, but in our midst we have an expert. We have someone who is going to tell us what is addiction. What causes addiction? How can we deal with addiction? So, without more ado, I would love to welcome Mr. Richard Kadoko. Please tell us who you are and to our viewers.
Good evening, viewers. I'm Richard Chibira Kadoko. I am a family therapist with a specialty in addictions and families, parenting the unborn child. These two are my passion.
You said addiction?
Yes.
And parenting the unborn child.
The unborn child.
I think next time we'll be talking about the parenting the unborn child. So by today we are concentrating on addictions. Tell us, what is addiction?
Addiction has got many definitions, but I've got a simple one. As regards our topic today, the biopsychology of addictions. Addiction is a structural aberration in the brain and all the cells in the body of a person.
In a layman's language.
Layman's language. Something goes wrong in the way the brain cells are wired inside our skull. But it doesn't end there. All the cells in your body have the same message.
They have the same message?
Yes.
You kind of lost me. What does that mean?
You are made up of many cells. And each of those cells has you. Because the DNA in every single cell is the same. Now we've got two types of DNAs. We have got the DNA we get from mom and dad in the nucleus. And we have this DNA we have from mom in the mitochondria. Mitochondria are small bodies inside the cell that give off energy. Now, if something goes wrong in a person, the mitochondria must have a copy of that problem and give the energy to do what you do. If it doesn't have the message, then you don't have the energy to do it.
Okay.
Many times we've not looked at it. We've thought we concentrated on the brain, we worked on the brain. But there was an example in the US where they did a lobotomy, cut a piece of brain from an addict. It stopped the addiction. But the moment that person underwent stress, the body remembered exactly what to do. And he went back in spite of having lost that piece of the brain. So now we are beginning to look wider. So really, addiction, some people want to call it a disease. I wouldn't like to call it a disease.
But I've read some research papers that call it a disease.
Yes, we would like to call it a disease. But this is a structural problem. The way cells are laid down is not right. And the way they do their biochemistry is not right.
So if something is not right in the body, that means someone is sick?
No. When you are sick, the body is okay, but it is not functioning well. But here you have laid the body wrongly. This is where we go back to the unborn child. All these things come from there, but we are not going to go there today. We'll do that.
Tell us a little bit about that. If addiction starts from the unborn child, I think our viewers would love to know how it comes about.
That becomes a big topic.
Just give us
a little bit. A child comes here 4 months before a woman is pregnant. The behaviors of the mom and the dad during that period, which we call the genomic imprinting period, is all important. What dad does, what mom does. The peak experiences of that are embodied in the DNA that is going to be shared.
So the way we treat mothers,
The prospective mothers, before they actually get pregnant, is crucial.
so if I want to avoid addictions in my family, I have to start from there, right? That's what you're saying?
That's the best place to start. The best place. But that was the traditional African way to do it. And we lost it. Recently, I did a video and somebody in UK corrected me and said, but we also had that. We used to know how to parent a child before the child is born. I wasn't aware. But I'm getting some research papers on that. They also knew.
Okay, let's go back to addictions. There are many addictions out there.
Yes.
You read about this alcoholism, there is sexual addiction, there is, according to, tell us, give us the picture of the addictions, you know, that is affecting our people out there.
No, I will not give you a full list because there are too many addictions.
Oh, categories. Are they categorized?
I can put them in a small acronym. We call it BEEPS.
BEEPS. What is BEEPS?
BEEPS. Behavior. We have a class of addictions that go with a person's behavior. We have eating addictions. They're disorders, but they are also addictions. Where a person is addicted, let's say, to taking sugary stuff, or is addicted to taking deep fried foods. If they don't get them, they react. Physically, they react. It's not just being hungry. Somebody will go into coma because he's not had what he needs. An addiction is not a simple wanting. It is a craving that puts the body into shock if not satisfied.
Someone can go into a coma.
Yes.
Because of addiction.
Yes.
Wow. That is
Many people who are labeled addicts are not actually addicts. They are abusers.
So there is a certain level you go on.
Yes.
You're called
where the body is totally dependent on you doing that thing. If you don't do it, the whole body will react. You'll get tremors. People like those who take alcohol, if he's an addict, throw him in prison. Within 24 hours without having alcohol, he'll go into contortions, has seizures, and if you don't protect his tongue, it may fall back in and kill him. So they have to be restrained if you are really an addict.
So that is a problem. I don't think our guys in the prisons, they know that. So they just say maybe someone has epilepsy.
Yes, it is easy to call it epilepsy. But when it is an addict, when you're dealing with addiction, many times if we keep you off your substance, we have either to substitute something to calm you down or restrain you like a mad person.
Wow. You mentioned abusers.
Yes.
At what level? Because you find someone's drinking, is it like just for recreational purposes? Or
they do it for many reasons. Some are experimenting. Some are trying to fit in with a crowd, to be accepted. Some, it is taken over their life. Now, an addict is when whatever you are doing has hijacked your body, and now it is the one controlling you. You are no longer in control.
So it drives you.
It drives you.
So you become
and you have no sense of knowing you're hurting other people or anything.
You're not aware whether you're hurting others.
You are not there. Something is in charge of your life, not you.
It's like I'm driving my car, but
the car is driving you.
Someone hacks it and driving me wherever to move.
Yes.
Wow, that's a very good analogy.
Because we have computerized cars now, somebody can hack into your car and drive it when you no longer have any controls.
So even addiction is like that.
Yes, something has taken over your life, you have no control. Some people call it a demon. I wouldn't like to call it that because I know the biology behind it. But that biology is set in mom's tummy.
There are people saying, or Christians there, because Stories of Hope is a Christian channel. So the people say addiction is a sin disease. What do you have to say about
I wouldn't
that?
even call it a sin. This person has been hijacked. He has no sense of what is proper or improper.
But right at the beginning, when it was starting, maybe alcoholism, or maybe someone was sleeping around, and then to the level it went to become an addiction. So it's like, it started as a simple...
No, we are talking about two different things. We are talking about abusers. That's what we normally deal with. An addict is difficult to live with.
But you start from what level? Because
Okay, you start slowly. Your body has got what we call tolerance. If I used to take 1 bottle of beer, in 2 weeks, my brain is no longer affected by a bottle of beer. I need 2. With time, I'm taking a crate.
someone taking a crate, how many liters is that
No, they take even 2
in a day?
in a day. And he's okay.
He can function,
He can function. I've seen people who cannot function unless they're drunk. But where you become an addict, when you move away from being an abuser to being an addict, this thing you are using or you are doing is in control of your life. It has a sense of its own. It can tell lies. You can be so good that everybody is convinced you are this, whereas you're not. But you yourself, as a person, you are not aware what you're doing. We only notice an addict when something interrupts what they are doing. And then you see how desperate they are.
Let's take an example of, like in Rwanda, you have alcoholism. I was reading a report that says that almost 48% of Rwandans have that addiction. Some people will call it a sin, or taking you back to what we talked about.
Yes.
But this alcoholism, where you find that the whole family is affected by the father, the mother, even the children.
No, by the way,
so how do you explain?
there's no abuse, there's no behavior that does not impact the entire family. Everybody is connected to a family. What I do, whether good or bad, affects the entire family.
Especially if you are the head of the family.
Even if I'm not. Once I belong to that unit, what happens to me affects everybody else in there.
It's like we are one body.
Let me say something in quantum physics. When 2 electrons have been together, if you separate them, it doesn't matter the distance you put between them. If you place a charge on this one, the other one automatically picks it at the same instant.
Sure.
Now, a family, we all originate from the 2 people in that family.
Oh, yes.
We are all connected, whether I like it or not. Whether I go far or I'm near, I affect them whatever I do. Even if somebody leaves you in Rwanda and goes to Canada, what he does there impacts people back here.
So we are spiritually connected.
There's no way you can cut that bond. That's how God designed us.
So these people cut off from the family. And
Yes,
they
are very interesting.
Very interesting. What do you mean?
You cut off and you think you've cut off. But you can never cut off family. You can never get away from the spiritual bond God put between you, your mom, and your dad. You can never go away.
It goes with you.
Wherever you go, it is there.
So you become dysfunctional when you don't come back to
Exactly.
the source. That's what I mean.
If I go back to source, if we can get back to the love that was intended in that home, everything can fall back in place. People cut off. They have their problems. If they come back and are accepted unconditionally, they suddenly find they have stopped what they've been doing. One of my sons said this. He had started abusing alcohol, but I was not aware.
At a young age?
Yes, he was at university. I was not aware. But one time, he talks to one of my mentors, an Australian, the late Bruce Litchfield. He was talking to him and says, you know, I'm now okay. Dad changed and there's no reason why I should drink. Now, I wasn't even aware that my behavior was affecting my children that way.
So there was this absence, you were absent in his life?
I was absent but present in the home. I'm a bookworm. I'm always in my books. But that hurts the family. I was cutting off. I had always wanted this label. I am a loner.
Ooh.
Me. Now when I say I'm a loner, but I have got a wife, I've got children. But you can be alone when all those people are around you. You cut them off.
So he was feeling this void.
Yes.
With alcohol.
And he started feeling that pain with the alcohol.
So when you got back to your position?
When I came back, I remember it was a Christmas. We had a barbecue. We played around. I allowed one of my sons to step in my shadow. He stepped in accidentally, was really frightened, like I would kill him. And I said, no, it's okay. Let's play. And he stepped in my head. And we did that. Suddenly they realized, hey, he's around. So giving them hugs, they could say, I want to talk to you, and I could sit down and leave whatever I'm doing to talk to them. It changed my home.
So that means if a father is available, is loving,
in actual fact,
it protects children.
If men were to rediscover being men and got back their manhood.
Get back, they have lost their manhood.
I usually say men need to borrow skirts.
What do you mean?
We are not men.
I'm a man. And,
no.
I'm proud of being a man.
You see, there's being proud of your physique. There's being proud. You are what God made you to be. And you're playing that role well. You would know how to handle a woman. You would know how to handle your unborn children. You would know how to handle your children when they are born. You can't tell me you're a man and you are away and your child is delivered in hospital. You're not there. You're not there to support your wife. You're not there to birth bond with your child.
So you mean?
If you miss birth bonding with your child, when the child first gets out, in the first 8 hours, you are not there to put them on your skin, to talk to them, to welcome them into the world. You're responsible for all the diseases they'll get in life. You're responsible for all the addiction they'll get. You know,
this information you are giving me today is like new to me, because I've talked to friends. If their wives are in labor, they can't even enter that place.
I know.
And they don't have this information. So it's like they take care of it and then they say, hey, that's your baby, when she's in a crib.
I used to fear babies. I wouldn't even touch a newborn baby.
So when did you came to know this? And
when I was mentored by Bruce Litchfield and his friend, Dave Smith, one of the leading addictionologists in the world. When those two mentored me in person, that's when I started realizing I wasn't a man.
So that means you made a lot of mistakes, and you got this information when your children already grown up.
Exactly.
So how do you now go back? Can you reparent them and then?
That's what makes a big difference. It is a struggle. But the difference I've already seen gives me hope that all of us can make the journey.
The difference, talk about that.
The difference in my children. I know if mine can reach where they are. I had a child on the street in Kampala. He was written off as useless. But now he's somebody.
Because you changed.
Because I changed.
So by the time
And he keeps telling me that, Dad, you cannot sit home and not go out in the world to tell them this.
So you're on a mission.
I'm on a mission because we can be better.
So
we talk about addictions. It's me and my wife who disorganize the brain of our children so that the brain lays cells in the wrong way. There's a portion of your brain which we call the reward system. Now that part of your brain needs to be very well laid out. Now mistakes in me and my wife cause defects there. Now those defects, when this child grows up, what we do as the child grows up reinforces that mistake until one day it is an addiction.
So what do we have to do to protect this? Like for me, my children are still young. So what do I have to do?
The most important thing that we would do is get men to want to know.
To want to know.
Women attend seminars, they're interested, but they can't do it. They are not the leaders. God made the man the leader.
Because the moment the man gets this information,
if the man knows what to do, he is the one who helps his wife to do what is necessary. And then children will. Let me give you an analogy. We Africans, we know termites.
yes,
Now, if you have an ant hill here, the work ants will go 2, 3, 5 miles away to collect food. If you dug the ant hill, got out the queen and killed it, all of them will lose direction and die. They'll never come back.
Is that true?
It's true.
Like that moment when the queen is killed,
they lose direction.
they lose the compass.
They cannot come back and they'll die. When they don't have purpose, they commit suicide.
Oh.
Now, the same principle works in the home. The two who came together to make this home are so important. When we separate, that's why we have in the US and other countries, they have children of divorce. They have their own organizations because they have got problems.
They are unique problems.
And they can't make sense of them. So when they get together, they get people to talk to them and they try to overcome it. It is simple. I don't agree with my wife and I have my money, she has her money, we separate. We are so selfish, we don't know. In Kampala last year, a girl committed suicide. They fought. Mom and dad kept fighting and then she said, it seems I'm your problem. She committed suicide. The country grieved. Because two people were so engrossed in themselves, they did not notice they have children. But I don't blame them. When you look at where they came from, the problem is still there. It is just recurring. When God says, I'll punish you 4 generations, it means me, my children, my grandchildren, 1 generation.
And your grand.
Now, the children of my grandchild and their grandchildren, another generation. Now 4 generations, that's a long time. And then God doesn't play. When he says, it is. You can pretend you're going to pray, but I don't know how you pray against the Creator.
But I can break this chain.
If I become responsible, I can. And bring blessing into the home. But if I don't, it'll go. It will recur. Now, unfortunately, those were biblical words, and we used to think they are there. Unfortunately, they are real.
Sometimes they sound so simple, but
yes,
they carry a lot of weight.
But one has to have wisdom to understand.
Yes,
there is the thing they call epigenetics. Pick experiences of my life.
First, tell us what is epigenetics to our viewers.
Okay, I'm running off. Epigenetics is the science of what happens beyond our genes.
Okay.
How information is encoded into the genes themselves. Now, epigenetics, peak experiences in my life, either they are pleasurable or very painful, will be encoded and will be passed on to the next generation as their gene.
Wow.
Now, what God is telling you, what you have done, your children will inherit, but on a mild level. But it will be genetic in your grandchildren. And it will continue as a genetic code.
Up to the 4th
generation. If somebody finds out what to do, they can stop it. But if they don't, it will continue. Now, unless our generation can wake up and start to stop what we have done, we've done a lot of damage.
So if I get well, like based on what we've talked about, if someone grows up, is born in a loving family, the father is present, the mother is present,
yes,
they care about this child.
The child plays with them, touches them, they touch the child. One thing that impressed me in Rwanda is the amount of touch you people have. Love is the soup that helps us cook a good meal.
Did you hear that? Love is a soup that helps us cook a good meal.
Yes. Now,
unpack that for us.
If there is a lot of love between me and my wife, the children feel it. Their bodies will wire well. Because if we're in love, real love, there's no stress in the home. There's stress at a level of nurturing. Now, that means in the brain, there's a portion that is not switched. I'll not mention that until we have pictures for me to explain this. Now, when we have that situation, the brain goes for growth. People are tall, relaxed. That's the outside sign that they're okay. When there's stress. Now we have stress of work, stress of education, stress. We've got so many stresses. We are not capable of loving because we have got too many stresses. Now in those stresses, that portion of the brain is switched on. Children pick the message from their parents. And the body says, okay, you cannot grow, you have to survive. People become shorter, have larger heads, bodies more muscular, because they've got to defend themselves. They don't, literally, the brain is not growing where you need to grow. So it will not do the right biochemistry to make you well. Now you need some substance from outside to give you the dopamine.
It's like you are stunted.
You are stunted. But I want the chemicals from outside to do for me what I need. Or I want the behaviors that will excite that chemical to come into my body. Now, that's wrong. That's how addictions are made. The more desperate I become, the more my brain goes into survival mode. The more survival mode, the brain is not wrong. It's doing its best to maintain you alive for the number of years you're supposed to live here. Period. It's doing a good job. Now, we who observe say you are an addict. But the brain is doing what it should do. You are surviving.
You're in a survival mode.
Yes. You believe as to what is happening, it works for it.
Okay, you talked of the reward system.
Yes.
Like dopamine, there is another chemical called what?
Serotonin.
So, what causes that imbalance so that you need a foreign substance to come and
That's
boost?
where the love comes in. With love, everything is balanced. Without love, one of the chemicals will be there more than the other.
Oh, there's
Now,
that imbalance. Oh.
Look at these old parents. They'll tell you, don't take a child until they laugh too much. You know, you need to stop. You cause trauma.
Oh.
Now, today I don't think we understand what they talk about.
That is
Because
the-
I'm damaged, I can take a child until the child starts crying. But it's
like
crying.
tears of joy,
No.
crying like
Crying because you are literally tearing something inside the brain.
okay.
And it's going to cause a scar. They want to be excited, but they want to disconnect. Now, parents need to know, how do I play with my children? When they disengage, what do I do? But I cannot force my child to play because I want to play. This is the time I've got for them. When they want out, I still, no.
I've seen whereby parents want to go somewhere and then kids say, I don't want to go.
And you force them to go.
Yeah, I force them.
You are the adult.
I said, what's wrong with these children?
But they are people.
So am I going to cancel this wedding or this thing because this little girl doesn't want to go?
If you're in love with your kids, yes.
Wow, that is...
If you're in love with your kids,
I think some people are going to hate me.
a dad in connection with his children can even cancel a job. People have given up their jobs.
To take care of their children?
Yes. I remember one of the seminars I attended in Kampala, a lady stood up, she was a journalist, and said she took 7-year leave
7 years.
in order to be with her kids. And I was like, this is stupid. You get a job. They are not so common. At that time, it was not so common. You're a journalist. You got a degree. They want you. And you say,
I'm taking care of my children.
I talked to that lady. Said, my children are more important than anything. And the husband was 100% behind her. And I was like, these people are not serious. I didn't know what I know now.
Or it's because in Uganda there's this culture where husbands were kind of protective of their wives. They want women to stay home, take care of the children. But behind
it was not
someone.
that dictatorial thing. This one, this couple, they loved.
They loved each other.
They loved. I've seen several who are like that, and their children are different. Different.
But in other words, I would ask myself this question: what is our mission as parents? Because the men who are just like suppliers, they supply everything they need in our home, but they are not present.
Yeah, they are supplied, but what if the wife gets another supplier? Yes, you may be supplying, but somebody is supplying better than you. Is she wrong too?
And then I lose myself, and then even my children lose me.
It should be love. We are here to love. Money and other things are there to help me put my love into action.
Are you, in other words, saying that addictions because we love the wrong way, or our love has gone wrong?
Yes.
Elaborate.
We are not capable of loving. We are clinging on to our partners. We are not giving them space to grow. We are clinging on to our children. You want your child to become a lawyer, so you put them in this school, in that school. Even when the child says, Dad, I don't want to go to that school, you say you must go. So it is your agenda, not the child's agenda. You're no longer interested in what the child wants. You don't love them.
You think
Yes,
you love
you
them, but you...
No, you pretend. You love them because you provide money. But inside you also know you don't love them.
Okay, let's go back to an alcoholism.
Yes.
In Rwanda here, we have a campaign called Drink Less, Tunywe Less. But it's kind of like it's not working, I don't know. There are many campaigns that have been run, maybe even in Uganda, all over the world. But
They don't work.
Huh?
They don't work.
They don't work.
As long as we manufacture in the home these people, they'll continue drinking. I remember I didn't grow up with my dad. As an adult, after all my children are born, they're all in school. Actually, most of them were in their teens. The older ones were even about to start work. I go home to see my dad. It was incidental. I visited somebody and they said, hey, but you should go and see your dad. So we went. And he welcomed me. We talked. Then, because I had gone with my wife, he says, hey, somebody give us something. So I got up to go and check if there's somebody at the back of the house. As I walked out, he turns to my wife, says, you see what? Don't you see that I gave you a very good man?
Very handsome.
Just that one remark
Rewired you.
changed a lot of things for me. I can look back to that time and see the trajectory I took from there.
From that moment.
From that moment. That's when I retooled to being a therapist. That's when I took interest in families. That's when I took interest in the unborn child. But it was a chance remark. If I had not gone, I would not have had that. He did not touch me. But when I was leaving, he picked 2 novels. Said, you go and read that. And those are the first 2 things he gave me directly. I treasure them. They're still there.
So that moment you're with him changed your life.
Everything changed. Now, it's never too late. You may be 60, 70 years. If you go back and for the first time your dad holds you and says, my son, and he feels from the bottom of his heart, you'll go back home and you'll be a different man to your children.
So government, so churches should support families.
We should go back to the families, educate them, work with them.
But it's not a government job to come and tell you how to be a good father or how to be a good mother.
It is now.
It is
Why
now.
do I say that? As long as you have families where dads have robbed their children of their love and time, you'll have corruption in government. No matter whether you put in prison, you do what, they will be corrupt. You robbed their love, they rob the country of these resources. There's no two way about it. A few individuals have something that happened in their life and they have risen above all that garbage and they said, no, I'll be different. Yes, this is who I am, but I'm going to be this. And there's a mentor. And they'll go that way.
But the people who take alcohol, do they know the substances or the things they are ingesting in their body? Tell us about
This company, they're enjoying themselves.
Someone told me it is like a neuropoison.
It is. It is.
Can you unpack that for us?
No, the biochemistry of alcohol is horrible. Alcohol dries things.
Dry things?
Yes, if I want to preserve something, I put it in alcohol. I'll preserve it. Now you're preserving your brain in... I mean, used to drink. I reached a point where I could not drink alcohol that cannot be lit.
Oh.
You give it to me, I pour it down, if it catches fire, I'll drink.
In Uganda, that's what we call super allergy, right?
Yeah. No, I reached a point when even sporage was not working. I used to go to Mulago and corrupt some people to give me medical alcohol, the one used in surgery.
So that one is different from the one we...
The other one is 99 proof.
Ooh. Oh my God.
You can imagine, you reach that kind of thing.
So you are talking about addictive. So you were also an addict, right? I didn't know.
No, I was not an addict. I was an abuser.
Oh.
At a very high level. There was little that would have pushed me overboard. But I had a wife.
Did she drink too?
No. She used to drink a little bit, sure. But I had a wife who loved me, which kept me from going overboard.
So when did you quit?
I quit when I accepted Christ. I quit. I said, there's no need for me to take this stuff. I accept the fact that my dad is not in my life. I need to make up my life.
So through faith, you are able to quit.
Yes.
So there are people who say...
Now the problem is, what happens when your church fails you?
Your church. How did
If they judge you, you may do some small something. Something that you may think is small, but it's big to them.
So your church knew you are an abuser? Or they already labeled you an addict?
No, they had not labeled me. Actually, I had a good Bible teacher. I used to smoke a pipe.
Oh, pipe?
Yes. Immediately after Bible class, I would stand on the steps and light up.
On the church premises?
Yes. And this guy never said, you're doing wrong. They kept in their prayer groups, but they never said a word to me.
Was a trained counselor, I guess?
Yes. This guy loved me. He put time. We would, after Bible class, we would stand there and argue, and he explains Bible to me. I don't take things easily. I have got a lot of questions. So we went into it in depth. Sometimes he would get in his car and drive me back home at midnight. All the time we're standing on the steps.
Wow.
That love somehow got into me, and I started saying, but why should I be smoking a pipe?
I think that love is what...
Yes.
That was the medication he gave you.
That's the medication.
Okay.
For addictions, everything we will try to do is temporary.
So love is the antidote.
Is the only thing that will change a person from the worst to the best.
Wow. Parents, you hear this. Love is the
You have an addict in the home. Learn how to love them.
Let's go to gambling addiction.
Yes.
Like, I think as you from Uganda, and even here we have gambling.
It's a big thing.
It's a big thing. There's a lot of money involved.
But if you were to do a profile, more than 70% of those who are involved have absent fathers.
Absent fathers. Oh. Someone did research on that.
Yes.
Absent fathers. So tell me about...
Ask them and you see, they're not involved with their dads.
So they are filling this void with...
In gambling, they've got a family now. 2, they have the rush, the anticipation of being in danger. I'm about to lose, or I'm about to get.
You said they have family. With alcoholism, there is some kind of family. If you visit a bar, you find people...
In the gambling, they have got a big family.
Sure.
Very big
To me, I
family.
see someone is just there busy gambling. It's like is there on their
They've
own.
got their network.
Okay.
Gamblers know gamblers. Even if they've never met before, they connect immediately.
Sure. So damaged brains that attract each other.
Yeah, they know themselves. Just like if I'm a smoker, you may find me on the street sweeping, and Mercedes-Benz stops and says, "Can I have a smoke?" And you give him one smokes.
You don't know this person?
But you are connected because you're using cigarettes. That's it.
They have that connection.
Yeah.
It just connects right.
Now here we are, gamblers. You get him from Kampala to here, he will know where the gambling places are. You don't have to educate him. He knows. He will see the people. He knows who to ask.
Tell me what happens to the brain of a gambler.
What happens to the brain is the same as in all addictions.
Sure.
It is the reward system that has gone wrong. The cells there are not functioning as they should. A gambler is mainly on anticipation. As they expect, they have a rush of dopamine in their body. When they fail, they go down. They get serotonin. And then they've got to feed on dopamine again. So it's a circle. He can't stop. If I put 100,000 today and I lose it, I'm so sorry, but that pain that I get demands now you need dopamine, so I come back. When I get, the excitement goes higher, and I say, oh, let me put it back until I lose it.
So
Gamblers don't take back the money. It's not the money that they're doing. It is the rush inside there.
The rush.
That's what they're working
That
for.
feeling.
Yes.
For gamblers, when you're like the head of the family and you're a gambler, it breaks families.
Definitely must. The resources are being diverted to your gambling. But even alcohol, the resources go to alcohol.
You know, what amazes me is like, your wife said, I'm going to divorce you, but you still go back.
But you know that your wife is not going to go. She's also dependent on you.
And there are those who say, I can't take this, and they walk away.
Yes, there are those. But they're the few.
Would you call them they are lucky?
No, they're not lucky. They come from a different background.
So you said of dependent. Someone can't live an addict.
You help him.
You are an enabler.
You know, you play a game.
Game.
He gets drunk, you quarrel, have sex, and tomorrow you give him money to go back to the bar.
It's a game.
It's a game.
Continuous.
And both of you know it. If you get tough, I cry. When I cry, you baby me. When you baby me, we have sex, and tomorrow you give me money, I go back.
It becomes a pattern.
Ask them, they will tell you they've got a pattern in their home. When this happens, this one does this, then I do this, then this one does this, and the game goes on. The wife even goes as far as tell lies to people on behalf of the husband.
In the name of protecting the name of the family. It becomes a family secret.
It's a family secret.
But you can't hide it. It's out there.
But you think you're hiding it. As some people say, hiding an elephant in the sitting room. Everybody can see it, of course.
Yeah.
But that's how we are. That's how we do things. Addiction is one of those very bad things that happens to a person.
But sometimes you find people have multiple addictions. How does that happen?
Most times, it's rare to have one addiction. How do you keep supplying that area with dopamine? Because there are times when you are not on that habit. You need something else. If I'm on alcohol, I'm also likely to be having sex elsewhere.
But these substances you take, all these behaviors, I believe at a certain level they deplete out these rewarding systems like dopamine.
Of course.
Okay.
Like you take coffee. Coffee is a drug.
People have coffee here in Rwanda.
You take coffee every 40 minutes. Soon you find you have to increase the amount of coffee in your coffee. Then you can't wait for 20 minutes. You're an addict.
People these days, they even carry their coffees everywhere they go in their cars and whatever. And they kind of look modern, fashionable.
It's fashionable. But I've failed to get a brain scan of a coffee addict, a tea and coffee addict. They're as bad as cocaine.
That level?
Yes. If you take 10 cups of coffee a day, the brain looks like a perforated cabbage.
Okay, you said all the chemical imbalance in all addictions the same. There is sexual addiction, there is sports addiction, now there is internet addiction.
That one is one of the worst.
The worst. It damages the brain so much.
It damages the brain so much that a person can go for 2-3 days without eating food.
They are glued to the screen.
Yes.
And they become...
Unfortunately, the screen also destroys another part of your brain.
The screen. What part is that? I think
Your pineal gland is affected by the screen.
But now we can't do without the screen.
But it was manufactured with the intent to get you hooked.
That's what we do to do.
No.
Complete our jobs.
When that industry began, the aim was to get addicts.
That's how they're going to earn money for you. They consume their...
Entertainment is trillions of dollars all over the world. If you're not addicted to it, where will they go?
Oh, wow. Now, I take you back to the word love. You mentioned love.
Yes.
Is the medicine. But there are people out there who don't, or they were not loved the right way.
No. There are people who don't know what love is.
Because of poor modeling. Because...
They didn't get it.
So now, talk to those people. How do they now become loving parents? How do you never experienced it?
That's why I was telling you, you need to get men into seminars to start learning.
To seminars.
We make it, it's a big mistake to think that loving is natural. It's never been natural.
It's practical.
It's practical, but you learn it.
You learn it when you get the right model.
Yes.
So we are in...
I did mention in passing before C-section children. They don't have enough love. They look for it. Seriously.
I don't understand that.
They want to be touched. The amount of touch a C-section child demands is not the same as a natural-born child.
I think we have another time for C-section children, but addiction is a very serious... You said you don't want to call it a disease? How do you...
I wouldn't like to call it a disease because it is structural. We need to work with the structure. When it is a disease, yes, we have operated on it being disease and we've given drugs. In psychiatry, we've given operations. I told you the other guy who had a lobotomy done. It didn't work. It's structural. So we must go back to God's blueprint and learn how did he want it to be in the family. And then we can build on that.
Okay.
If we think we are going to do it minus him, we can as well forget it.
So without God, we can't fight all this. So
what are you going to do? I mean, how do you learn to love? You create the entire universe in love. The first atoms were built with love. So what else can you do?
Okay. So in our next episode, we'll be talking about hope and recovery. So thank you, Mr. Kadoko Richard,
You're welcome.
for the words of wisdom you've given us.
You're welcome.